Hello and welcome to another episode of Diary of a Coin Dealer. I'm trying to keep on top of YouTube. I feel that now I'm doing less in terms of trading. It's given me more time to kind of put into YouTube. It's not really taking much away from me to kind of put these topical videos out. In today's episode of Diary of a Coin Dealer, it's more going to be talking about the market in terms of my actual trading, to look at my little book. What I do is every time I sell something, I write it down, then I input it onto the accountancy software. So this past week, I've done. This is tiny, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 trades. I've done 12 deals, which that's not a lot for me. Like in the past, I can do that off the bat, and it's not a case of I haven't put good quality out. So for example, I've had silver, I've had Guernsey mint just because they're on the side at the moment. I managed to sell about 100 ounces of those. I had some cougars. Again, I don't usually keep stock on the side. Usually it goes in paid storage, etc., etc. I thought these would have sold. Didn't sell any of these. Someone did message me via email. I don't know what happened. He wanted to kind of buy a 10 ounce as well. I'd already sold him. He didn't get back to me. Maybe it's because of the price drop. That's okay. I'm not coming down further on the price. I think I offered them at 25.50 a coin for semi-Numi Bullion. That's a really good price. But there's been no takers on it. So the question is it because it's the summer holidays, or it's approaching the summer holidays, people are more inclined to spend elsewhere? Or is it because people were jittery and we're actually heading into a very dark and sinister place in terms of the market? I think it's the latter. I'm not a doom and gloom merchant. I'm certainly not someone who shills to sell products. It's not like that. But I think if I go down the high street, I'm talking to everyday people who run bakeries, people who've got a market stall. Things are not selling. There's not enough money to go around. And I'm certainly seeing that in the coin market. Now, it could just be some holidays. I've said it many times before. Typically, I have 2 very poor months, I have 2 exceptional months, and I have 8 average months. But it feels different. It feels like there's more and more dealers trading where I trade. Your professional dealers, your dealers with your limited companies. And they're coming in and maybe their market is not paying what it was, and it's stepping on to other markets. And what's happening is it's a race to the bottom. That doesn't really bother me. In truth, the amount of money that I'm aiming to make is nowhere near before I got sick. And I'm not going back to those levels. I don't want to go back to those levels. I'm at the stage of my life where I want a bit of my life back, and that's okay. But there's more and more people chasing ever less and less money. I think it's going to be a case of, if you've got deep pockets, I think you're gonna have a good time over the next 18 months. If you don't, and you're unfortunately one of those people that has to sell, like I was talking to a gentleman that I deal with, and I said to him, I was like, I'm actually considering taking a part-time job for 2 reasons. One, it's a bit of cash flow. It doesn't pay well, but it is a bit of cash flow. And 2, it would drive me stir crazy if I don't do something. I'm someone who always has to do something, and maybe I can pour it into YouTube. Maybe I can sit down and I can actually develop YouTube properly instead of just turning up. Not half-assed. It's never half-assed, but putting time into. I can't think of the word. Making the videos look more professional. So some of my favorite videos I put out have been PowerPoint presentations that I've gone out and researched, and sadly for me, I didn't have the time to do it. I got so busy with the business that me taking 2 hours out of my day to sit down and research something that's going to get 2, 3, 400 views, it was really stupid. But they're the videos I enjoy. It wasn't really about the money, but it became about the money because I was having to take valuable time away from trading, where I was constantly chasing my tail. That isn't the case anymore. But yeah, getting a side job has kind of crossed my mind. I think there's going to be more people, there's going to be more traders who are probably going to lean into that area. I think there's going to be a lot of traders who are pushed out the market. And that's just a natural cycle. That happens in every industry, whether it's your company that has 1,000, 10,000 members of staff, or if it's your mum and dad shop. But I do think we're at the beginning of the end myself. That's where I feel we're at. I will know more after the summer, because if it's still bad after the summer, it's not going to be pretty moving forward. Now, I watch a lot of YouTube content. There's a guy called Raoul Paul, and he believes, so he's kind of a futurist. He predicts trends, and then he puts his money where his mouth is. But he believes they're going to raise interest rates, and then they're going to drop them back down to zero. I think there's merit in that. I think the central banks are stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't think they have a choice. Now, his premise, or his theory, is that the world governments do not have the money to pay out their liabilities due to GDP. He believes that they're going to have to drop the rates so they can refinance, just to keep the economy afloat and keep it moving forward and kind of escape this mass contraction. As a country, we are very wasteful. But I think he's right. I think it's easier for them to drop the rates and to kind of kick the can slightly longer than it is to turn around and say we need to completely restructure the economy. That's where I think we're at. If it does, I think gold and crypto, I think most assets will do well. I don't think it's just gold or crypto. I think most assets. They can't afford to have the stock market implode, because what happens when that happens? The pension funds are in trouble. They've already propped the pension funds up with cheap liquidity after the Liz Truss versus the lettuce. They're in a very, very difficult situation. So they have to keep the stock market going, and they have to roll over the finances to make sure the country keeps moving forward. Difficult. I don't have the answers. I'm not saying Raoul Paul's right, but I do think we're there. I do think we're at a very kind of scary time, and I think it will unfold. And I'm lucky. I've spent the last 3 years just stacking and stacking and stacking and investing. I ended up putting about 50,000 into a gold miner. Now, please, when I say this, I say this sincerely. I'm not a very wealthy man. I'm not. So with coin dealing, you see a lot of things on the table, and you see a lot of wealth. But the reality is I keep very little of it. It's just the quicker I move it, the more I make. As with most things, I'm not making 20, 30, 40%, 50%. Some things I'm making a few quid. On a sovereign, if I'm buying a sovereign in and I'm making 10 quid on it, I've got to move a lot of sovereigns. But I end up making a position of 50,000 over several years. And the reason I did it is because I personally believe we're at the point where they have to keep putting money into the system. They have to do it time and time again. And every time they put QE into the system, they increase the asset prices of houses and gold and crypto and the stock market. That's just a byproduct of it. And that's where I think we're at. I hope I'm right. I hope I get to hold on to my position till it gets to a point where it's where it should be. That position alone is enough to retire me as an individual. Might not work that way. My idea was, I'll bet the house deposit to win the house. If it blows up in my face, it's a lot of money. It's a hell of a lot of money, even to me. It really is. That will wipe out most of my assets, because a lot of my calculations are based around that kind of going up, or at least not losing that much money. If I lose a lot, I'm in a lot of trouble. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you can kind of make sense of what I'm trying to say. I am still struggling from when being ill. My thought process isn't as coherent as it used to be. I am getting there. We shall see. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.